All right, more Liberal woes today in Victoria with the suspension of Moira Deeming from the Parliamentary Party for 9 months rather than expelled as the Liberal leader John Pesutto had previously wanted. Effectively, Pesutto today was rolled. His motion, his expulsion motion, was moved when the meeting opened at 10 a.m. He then spoke, as did 3 other members of his leadership team. And then 10 colleagues got up to defend Deeming. One by one, speak in her defence for her and, of course, the cause she was fighting for, women's rights. Those I spoke to, those who were in the room today, said to me that these speeches were strong and they were heartfelt. And right up until Deeming spoke, Pesutto maintained his move to expel her. Indeed, the MP Ryan Smith asked the Liberal leader just before Deeming spoke if he was still pushing on with the motion to expel her, and Pesutto said he was. Then Moira Deeming spoke. As reported to me, it was one of the most powerful speeches ever delivered in that state Liberal party room. MPs confirmed to me that Deeming brought them to tears when she laid bare her defence of the claims against her. That she brought some in the room to tears says it all. I have an exclusive copy of Moira Deeming's speech tonight. I want to share some of it with you. Now, it's about as powerful and as raw as I've seen in politics. Moira Deeming said, opening up today, "In the last week, I've been repeatedly told that this motion to expel me from the party room isn't about the specific accusations made against me, but that it's about saving John and the leadership team, or that it's about rebranding and modernising the Liberal Party, or that it's about the fear that I'm unteachable or not a team player." And to my mind, she's absolutely right. As I said here last week, Pesutto and his office, they went off half-cocked in their demonisation of Moira Deeming. They did a cursory Wikipedia search about one of the rally organisers. They didn't fact-check the primary source material in the footnotes, not at all. They condemned Deeming without natural justice and in very clear defamatory terms, I might add. Then when it all blew up in their faces, they've spent much of last week trying to save face for Pesutto and, of course, his leadership. And they failed today because after Deeming spoke, Pesutto had no option to back down because he read the room, and he read the room knowing there was no way his move to expel her, that motion, would carry. Here's more of Moira Deeming's speech today. She said, "I'm a real person. I'm not just a political problem to be cauterised. Your decision today, whether you like it or not, will be linked to the minds of the public to the specific accusations and imputations in that dossier. I want to remind you that being accused of Nazism in any degree by the Liberal Party parliamentary team of Victoria is going to have heinous consequences for my life, the lives of my husband and our 4 children. It will have," said Moira Deeming, "negative consequences for anyone associated with me, like my brother, like my parents and my friends. My husband and I have already begun to receive hate mail from people who've read those accusations and now believe that we are white supremacists. There's already been threats of violence against me," she said, "because of these accusations. A stranger has already attempted to trespass into our backyard where our children play. The police," said Moira Deeming, "have had to start doing regular patrols outside our home to keep us safe." She went on. And this, I think, is the most stark and revealing. She said, "There are facts about my personal life that many here and certainly many in the media simply do not know. If you support this motion of expulsion, you'll be supporting the idea that the first Victorian MP of Maori descent, who took in and cared for a Vietnamese asylum seeker with cancer, who was famous amongst her students for her World War II history lessons, and who was largely raised by her uncle, who was a Jewish Holocaust survivor, is a Nazi sympathiser. My uncle's name," said Moira Deeming, "was Emery Gellert, and he was liberated from the Schachendorf concentration camp. He and his wife, who died on the day of my maiden speech, were the 2 biggest influences in my childhood. They taught me how dangerous mindless hate and hateful labels really are. It was Uncle Emery's voice," said Moira Deeming, "in my mind which cautioned me not to call even vile young men raising their arms in a Nazi salute Nazis until I was 100% sure. It is not only untrue that I have Nazi links, but deeply and personally offensive and hurtful. Moira Deeming then shared this incredibly raw story for the Liberal Party party room that was moving to expel her. She said, "I know that many of you are confused and annoyed with me for persisting talking about women's rights, intersex rights, gay rights, parents' rights and safeguards for women and children. I assure you the reasons are completely and utterly based on love and compassion, not any sort of bigotry and not even on religion or conservative politics." Moira Deeming said, "When I speak on these issues, I speak from personal experience. My life has been marred repeatedly by rape at the hands of men. From the age of 4 years, I have been assaulted," she said, "in public facilities. I was sexually harassed and assaulted by a teacher who later went to jail for having sex with minors." Rather than someone who is intolerant, Deeming told her colleagues, "One of my best friends and biggest supporters is intersex. I have supporters who are happily transgender and supporters who are grateful detransitioners. My pre-selection character references," said Deeming, "include 2 prominent left-wing lesbians. I'm driven by a desire to make sure other children and women don't suffer like I did." She said, "These allegations against me of Nazism and hatred towards the trans community are 100% false. But people will believe them if you support this motion to expel me." I don't think I've seen, as I said, a more powerful speech. As soon as she had finished, well, the Liberal leader, John Pesutto, was forced to take an immediate break. He didn't put his motion to a vote. He knew that after that speech, he'd lost the numbers in the room. And that's when he moved instead to suspend her. Now, take it from me, today's meeting has generated a lot of anger inside the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party and Liberal Party supporters right around the country. This is bigger than Victoria. And now it's Pesutto who's very much on probation. Under the suspension rules, Deeming is automatically reinstated in 9 months' time. 9 months' time, that's around Christmas. I doubt very much Pesutto will be the leader then. This has been a terrible own goal from the beginning, and at every point where John Pesutto could have pulled back, he instead chose to make it worse, and worse it's got. If the Liberal Party will no longer welcome Conservatives into its ranks, well, the Conservative side of politics really is in diabolical trouble.